I didn't see my husband for 6 months. No calls. No texts. No explanations. One night he packed a suitcase, kissed our daughters goodnight, and said he needed space to think. I stood by the doorway half asleep, believing he'd be home by morning. He never came back. People whispered that he had a breakdown. His mother told me to give him time. Our daughters asked if I did something wrong. And I kept waiting stupidly, thinking the man I loved for 15 years would choose his family again. Then last week he showed up at my door. He looked thinner, hollow, dressed in a funeral suit. His voice cracked when he said, "Emma, I need you." It wasn't love. It wasn't regret. His affair partner, Rebecca Hayes, had died. And suddenly, the husband who abandoned me and our kids decided he wanted his family back. This time, I wasn't the same woman he left behind. The night Jason left was so ordinary it still feels unreal. It was a Tuesday. Lily was finishing a history project. Harper was brushing glitter glue off her hands from an art assignment, and I was packing leftover pasta into containers for the next day. Jason came home late, smelled faintly of cologne I didn't recognize, and avoided eye contact when he walked past me. "Long day?" I asked casually. He nodded, tight-lipped. "Can we talk later?" I'm drained. At the time I didn't think much of it. Marriage has seasons and silence isn't always dangerous until it is. Around 11 p.m., I heard the zipper of a suitcase. Not the small carry-on he used for business trips, the large one we took on our 10th anniversary getaway. I stood at the bedroom door, confused. "Why are you packing? Do you have a trip tomorrow?" He froze, hands shaking slightly, like he had rehearsed this moment but still wasn't ready. "I need space, Emma. Just for a little while. I'm not okay. I need to figure things out." "What things?" My voice cracked. "You can figure them out here. With us." He looked away. "It's better if I go." That's when Harper appeared by my side, sleepy-eyed, clutching her stuffed fox. "Daddy? Are you going somewhere?" Jason dropped to his knees and hugged her, whispering, "I love you, sweetheart. I'll be back soon." He stood, brushed past me, and walked out the front door without another word. The engine started. The headlights swept across our living room wall. And then he was gone. No kiss goodbye. No timeline. No explanation. I stayed awake until sunrise, phone in hand, waiting for any message. Nothing came. By day 3, his mother finally called. Her voice was cold, rehearsed, almost defensive. "He's safe, Emma. He just needs time. Don't pressure him." "Time for what?" I asked. "He left his family. He'll reach out when he's ready." But weeks passed. Then months. Birthdays, school recitals, broken appliances, medical bills. Life moved on without him. I learned to take out the trash myself, fix leaking pipes, attend parent-teacher meetings alone. Every night, I slept on one side of the bed, too afraid to move his pillow. People asked if he cheated. I swore he wasn't that kind of man. I was wrong about a lot of things. For months, I tried to convince myself Jason was going through something internal, burnout, depression, a midlife crisis that had nothing to do with me. It was easier than confronting the growing ache in my chest that whispered something darker. But lies have a way of leaving fingerprints. The first clue came from something small, too small, almost laughably so. A hotel receipt tucked behind the dryer sheet box in our laundry room. Not a business hotel like usual, but a boutique resort 2 hours away on the coast. One room. One night. 2 glasses of champagne on the bill. I stared at the slip of paper, hands trembling, trying to rationalize. Maybe he met a client. Maybe it's a mistake. But the room was booked under a name I didn't recognize. Rebecca Hayes. I remember whispering it aloud, as if saying her name might summon context out of thin air. "Rebecca, who the hell are you?" I Googled her. Nothing. The name blended into millions of strangers. When I confronted his sister, she shut down instantly. "Susan doesn't want you stressing. He's sorting things out. Just give him time." Give him time. Those words became a weapon everyone used against me. I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled politely, drove home, and cried in the parked car until my vision blurred. A week later, another message arrived. This time a text notification on Lily's iPad. Jason had forgotten to unlink his Apple ID from the family cloud. At 2:14 a.m., a message popped up from an unsaved number. Are you safe? Call me when you can. R. I clicked the thread before my rational mind could stop me. R. I hate being alone in that house. Everything reminds me of you. Jason. I just need time. It's complicated. R. You said you'd leave for good once the girls were ready. Are you backing out? Jason. Please don't text me right now. Emma checks things. I froze. He knew I'd still be waiting. Still checking. Still believing. I slammed the iPad shut so hard the case cracked. That night I broke something inside myself. Instead of waiting for answers, I went to the only person who might tell the truth. His mother. I showed up at her door unannounced, still holding the iPad, rain soaking my sleeves. She opened the door and sighed like I was a burden. Emma, this isn't a good time. Who is Rebecca Hayes? I demanded. Her eyes widened just for a fraction of a second, but it was enough. You should go home, she whispered. Did he leave us for her? My voice cracked. Just say it. Her lips trembled. Then she closed the door in my face. No denial. No comfort. Just silence. That was the night I stopped believing he would return for us. But I had no idea that Rebecca wouldn't survive long enough to keep him. And that her death would drive him back to my doorstep. Finding clues was one thing. Accepting them was another. For a while, I clung to the idea that Rebecca was just a colleague, maybe someone going through hardship Jason felt obligated to help. That delusion shattered the night I finally tracked her down. It happened accidentally. I wasn't hunting her. I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace looking for a second-hand bike for Harper. Then I saw a tagged photo of a woman at a charity gala. The caption read, "Honoring our event director Rebecca Hayes for her incredible leadership." My blood ran cold. She wasn't a random stranger. She lived in our city. She worked just 15 minutes away. And Jason had attended that same event last year, alone, claiming it was a networking thing for work. I clicked her profile. Her face stared back at me. Wavy brown hair, polished smile, elegant, confident, camera-ready. The kind of woman who knew she was worthy of attention. In her photos, she wore the same silver necklace I found once tangled in our laundry and assumed belonged to Lily. My stomach dropped. I typed her name into Google. This time I found her company, news articles, photos of her speaking on stage, tag posts, and one photo that twisted the knife deeper. A candid shot of her on a pier at sunset, arms around a man whose face was turned away, but his shoulders, build, and stance were unmistakably Jason's. They looked like lovers in a movie poster. I sent the photo to his mother with one text. "This is him, isn't it?" For a full hour, no response. Then, "Susan, please stop digging. It will only make things harder." Not no. Not you're mistaken. Just a plea for silence. That was confirmation disguised as concern. I threw my phone across the bedroom and collapsed to the floor, shaking. Every memory rewrote itself in real time. Late business trips, distant eyes, strange receipts, emotional disconnection disguised as exhaustion. He didn't leave to think. He left because he already chose someone else. The breaking point came when I finally confronted Mia, my closest friend. I expected comfort. Instead, she hesitated before speaking. "Emma, I saw him once. A few months before he left. He was at a restaurant downtown. With a woman. They seemed close. You didn't tell me?" I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to hurt you. I laughed. A sound sharp and humorless. "You didn't want to hurt me?" He destroyed our family and everyone decided to protect him instead of the woman he threw aside. Mia's eyes filled with guilt. "Do you want me to find out more? I can ask around." "No," I whispered. "I already know enough." That night I didn't cry. I just sat in silence at the dining table, staring at two empty chairs, his and the one I used to imagine she'd never sit in. I told myself I was done waiting, done hoping, done loving him. But heartbreak has a cruel sense of timing. I didn't know she would die, and that her death would drag him back into my life like a ghost seeking shelter. In the weeks after I learned the truth, grief became a routine, quiet, bitter, predictable. I stopped checking my phone every morning. I stopped imagining his key turning in the door. and I stopped trying to explain to the girls why their father left. Instead, I focused on survival. The first real change came out of necessity. Our joint account froze after Jason stopped depositing money. I never realized how dependent I had been on a man who could vanish without warning. I picked up extra shifts at the design firm, started freelancing on weekends, and learned how to negotiate invoices like my life depended on it, because in a way it did. One night, after putting the girls to bed, I sat with bills and tax forms spread across the table. My hands were trembling with frustration. Mia walked in without knocking. She knew I wouldn't answer the door anyway. "Emma, you need help," she said gently. "You can't carry all of this alone." I exhaled, exhausted. "I don't have a choice." Jason left. "I have to be both parents now." "You've always been both parents," she murmured and placed her hand over mine. "The only difference is now you finally see it." Her words hit harder than any accusation. But healing wasn't linear. Some nights I still stared at his empty chair and wondered why I wasn't enough. Other nights, anger roared louder than heartbreak. Like when Lily slammed her door after school and shouted, "Why are you pretending everything's fine? He left us." Or when Harper crawled into my bed whispering, "If I'm better, will Daddy come home?" I held her all night, swallowing sobs she never heard. Gradually, life shifted. I chopped my hair, a small rebellion. I moved Jason's clothes into the attic, quiet closure. I repainted the bedroom, fresh walls, new breath. One afternoon, I finally removed his toothbrush from the bathroom cup. My hand shook, but not because of sadness, because I felt free. Mia noticed the shift. "You're starting to come back to yourself," she said. I nodded. I didn't realize how small I had become trying to fit into a life he didn't even want. The world didn't fix itself. But I was changing. I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't begging for answers. I wasn't clinging to memories like they were all I had left. I was moving forward, carefully, slowly, painfully, but forward nonetheless. And that's when the universe, in its cruel timing, reminded me that healing never arrives without interruption. Late one night, while I was folding laundry, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. "Hello." I answered cautiously. A woman's voice, shaky, whispered, "You don't know me, but I think you need to sit down. It's about Rebecca Hayes." My heart stopped. She was in an accident. She didn't make it. I didn't say a word. I just stared at the empty doorway, his doorway, knowing what would come next. The dead always drag the living back with them. I didn't plan to attend the funeral. It felt wrong, intrusive, like stepping into a story I was never meant to know. But the moment I hung up the phone, my hands moved on autopilot. I dressed in black, dropped the girls off at Mia's house, and drove toward the cemetery with the windows cracked open, letting the cold air keep me from dissolving. I told myself I was going for closure, but deep down I needed to see him. To confirm that the man who had been a ghost in our lives was real enough to stand beside the woman he destroyed our family for. The cemetery sat on a hill overlooking the coast, quiet, too peaceful for the chaos she left behind. People gathered in clusters, whispering condolences I couldn't hear. Rebecca's photos lined a memory board. Her smiling, speaking on stage, hiking, laughing. Living a life she stole from me without ever meeting me. I stayed at a distance, hidden behind a row of cypress trees, telling myself I'd leave after a minute. Then I saw him. Jason stood near the casket, shoulders slumped, suit rumpled, eyes hollow. Not grief-stricken, empty. Like a man whose world collapsed with no backup plan. A woman beside him whispered, "Were they close?" He didn't answer. I stepped closer before I could stop myself. His head snapped up. Recognition flickered, horror following right behind it. "Emma," he breathed like seeing a ghost. I kept my voice steady. "I didn't come for you." He swallowed hard, stepped closer. I was going to call. "Were you?" I let out a dry laugh. "Before or after you moved back into our lives like nothing happened?" He closed his eyes, exhaling shakily. "She loved me. We had plans. And now she's gone. I don't even know who I am without her." The words slipped out before I could stop them. And where did that leave us? Or our daughters? Were we just fillers until your fantasy collapsed? Jason flinched like I slapped him. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." "You didn't mean to leave," I corrected. You meant to escape. Silence pressed itself between us. He looked up at the casket, voice cracking. I thought she'd be my future. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only he could hear. Then why are you looking at me like I'm the only person left? He stared at me with a desperation I hadn't seen even on the night he walked away. Emma, he whispered. I need you. I don't have anyone else. I took a step back. That's not love, Jason. That's loneliness. Before he could respond, the priest called everyone to gather. Jason hesitated, torn between staying with me and standing with the mourners. I turned away before he chose. As I walked back toward my car, the wind carried the sound of sobbing, not grief for her, but panic for a future he didn't want to face alone. I didn't look back. It happened 3 nights after the funeral. The house was quiet, too quiet. Lily was asleep in her room with music playing softly, and Harper had crashed on the couch studying for a math quiz. I was washing dishes, letting the warm water numb my hands, trying not to replay the scene at the cemetery. A soft knock broke the silence. Not frantic. Not hesitant. Just familiar. For a moment my heart betrayed me and skipped the way it used to when I heard Jason come home late from work. I wiped my hands, walked to the door, and opened it before I could think. He stood there. Not in a funeral suit this time. Just jeans, a jacket, hair messy from the wind. He looked smaller, defeated. His duffel bag hung from his shoulder like he was ready to stay. Emma, he whispered, voice hoarse. Can we talk? I leaned on the doorframe, blocking the entrance. You already talked. You just never talked to me. He swallowed, eyes wet. Can I come in? No, my voice was steady, colder than I felt. Say what you need to say here. He looked past me, eyes drifting to the photos on the hallway wall, birthdays, Christmas mornings, first days of school. His chest sank. I miss my family, he said finally. I miss you. I almost laughed. Funny. You didn't miss us when she was alive. His face crumpled. He stepped closer, desperate. Emma, please. I'm broken. I lost everything. And now you want to pick up where you left off? I cut in. Jason, that's not how people work. That's not how love works. He rubbed his face, frustrated. I made a mistake. I was confused. Rebecca. She made me feel alive again. Like I had a second chance at life. And I made you feel what? I snapped. Heavy. Boring. Responsible. He froze. I stepped closer, voice low and sharp. You didn't leave because you fell in love. You left because she promised you a life where you didn't have to be a father or a husband. He didn't deny it. Instead, he whispered, I'm so sorry. There it was. The apology I once prayed for. Now it sounded cheap. Why now? I asked, arms crossed. Why not months ago? Why not before the affair? Before the lies? Before you let our daughters think they weren't enough? He hesitated. Pain flickered across his face, the ugly, raw kind. Because, he finally said, when she died I realized she wasn't my future. I don't want to be alone. I want to fix this. I want us back. I stared at him, stunned. So you want our family because she's gone? He opened his mouth, closed it again. I'm grieving, he whispered. I just need you to understand. No, I said, stepping back. You need a place to land. His voice cracked, rising. Emma, please. I need you. Harper woke up and peeked from behind the couch, eyes wide. She heard everything. Jason saw her and froze, guilt washing over him like a spotlight. Hi, baby, he said softly. Harper stepped back, clutching her blanket. You left, she whispered. He reached toward her, voice trembling. I know. I'm sorry. She shook her head, tears brimming. Daddy, you left us. You don't get to just come back. Jason's face broke. Harper ran upstairs, sobbing. I closed the door halfway. Go home, Jason. His voice was a whisper now, barely a breath. This is home. Not anymore. He placed his hand on the door, one last desperate attempt. I still love you. I met his eyes. Then you should have stayed. And I shut the door. He didn't knock again. Jason didn't stay away for long. 3 days passed, 3 days of silence, not peace. The girls moved through the house like shadows, tiptoeing around unspoken questions. I tried to return to normal, but every quiet moment felt like a countdown. On the fourth night, he showed up again. This time he didn't knock. He stood at the end of the driveway, staring at the house like a man debating whether to jump or drown. I stepped outside before he could approach the door. "We're not doing this again," I warned. He nodded, eyes glassy. "I know. I need to talk. Really talk. Not beg." His voice was calmer, almost resigned. I folded my arms but didn't walk away. "Then talk." He took a shaky breath. "When I left, it wasn't because of you. Or the girls. I left because I couldn't stand looking at myself anymore. I felt like a failure as a husband, a provider, a man. Rebecca saw something in me that I didn't." "You loved me," he said quietly. "She admired me. There's a difference." That one sentence hit harder than any confession. "And when did admiration turn into betrayal?" I asked. Jason swallowed. "Long before I left. I just finally chose it the night I walked out." "So you didn't have a breakdown. You relocated." He flinched. "I convinced myself I deserved another life. One where I wasn't responsible for anything. With her I felt new." I stared at him, hollow. "You burned your old life to feel young." He wiped his face, voice cracking. "And when she died, I realized she didn't take the future with her. She took the illusion. But you, this family, this is real. I want to fix what I broke." It would have been easier if he screamed, blamed me, justified himself. But sincerity was worse. It tempted forgiveness. "So if she were still alive," I forced out, "would you still be standing here?" He froze. Eyes darting. Pulse visible. No words. That silence told the truth. Finally, he whispered, "I don't know. A clean knife would have hurt less." I stepped back as tears finally formed, hot, furious, unstoppable. But I didn't let them fall. "That's why we're done," I said. "Not because you didn't love me, but because you never chose me." He shook his head, panicked. "Emma, I'm choosing you now." "No," I whispered. "You're choosing the only life left." His composure broke. He gripped the sides of his hair, sinking to his knees right there on the driveway. "I can't lose you. I can't lose my family." I stared at him, this shattered version of the man I once built my world around. "You already did," I said softly. "You lost us the moment you walked away and never turned back." The porch light flickered as the front door opened. Lily stepped outside, arms folded, face hard. She didn't look at me. Only him. "You don't get to cry," she said calmly. "Mom cried enough for both of you." Jason's face crumpled, but she continued. "We're not your backup plan. We're not what's left. We're what you left." She turned and walked back inside. Jason reached for me like a drowning man. "Emma, please. What do I do now?" I swallowed the ache in my throat and gave him the only answer that was true. "You grow up." He closed his eyes like the words physically struck him. I stayed long enough to watch him stand, wipe his face and walk away, slow, defeated, shoulders curved inward like someone finally carrying the weight they created. I didn't call after him. I didn't soften. I didn't break. When the gate closed behind him, I exhaled, shaky but steady. I hadn't just lost a husband. I had finally let go of the ghost of the life I thought I had. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of what came next. The morning after Jason left, for the second time, I woke up before sunrise. Not because of anxiety, not because sleep failed me, but simply because I wanted to watch the light come in. For months, dawn had been a reminder that another day had arrived without him. Now it marked something different. A day that was fully mine. The house was quiet, but not heavy the way it used to be. I cooked breakfast without waiting for an extra plate. I packed lunches without hoping he might walk through the door. I drove the girls to school and didn't glance at the passenger seat as if a ghost should be sitting there. We were finally learning how to live without the ache. Later that week, my lawyer emailed documents, simple, procedural, cold. A digital signature, notarization, a court date. I expected to break down when I signed them. Instead, I just felt steady. Not happy. Not angry. Just done. That was enough. A few days later, Jason texted for the first time since our last conversation. "Jason, I'm in therapy. I know it's too late, But I'm trying. I stared at the message for a long time, not because it hurt, but because it no longer controlled me. I typed slowly. Me. Do it for you and the girls. Not for me. No more paragraphs. No more explaining. No more bleeding through words. He replied, Jason, will you ever forgive me? I answered honestly, me one day. But forgiveness doesn't mean return. There was no response after that. And I didn't wait for one. Life didn't become magical overnight. Healing wasn't a montage. Some nights Lily still cried quietly or pretended she didn't care. Harper sometimes asked if her father would come to her birthday, then quickly changed the subject. I didn't have answers. But I had presence. And that was enough for them. Weeks passed. Spring crept in, flowers on the balcony, warmer evenings, sunlight stretching longer. I opened the windows more, let the breeze in, rearranged furniture, donated old clothes, bought myself a new journal, and finally replaced the bedsheets Jason picked out years ago. Mia dragged me out to a pottery class on a Saturday morning. I laughed, actually laughed. Not the hollow kind that covered bruises, but the real kind that felt like air filling long empty lungs. For the first time in a year, I looked in the mirror and saw someone I recognized. Not the abandoned wife. Not the woman who waited. Not the casualty of someone else's choices. Just me. Emma Walker. Alive. Present. Whole. One evening I stood on the porch sipping tea, watching the sunset bleed into the horizon. The sky looked like a bruise healing, colors fading, warmth returning. Fitting. I whispered to no one in particular, we're okay. Not perfect. Not fully healed. But okay. Behind me, the girls laughed in the living room, soft, domestic, safe. The world felt smaller, but in a way that made sense. A life rebuilt not on what I lost, but on what remained. And this time there was no empty space waiting for someone to fill it. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting at all. I was moving forward,